What up, man? It's your big brother K-Rino. Came across this comment on Twitter from Jason Whitlock. He used to be a sports guy. I guess he's still a sports guy. And lately, he's been strongly defending Kyrie Irving and what Kyrie's been going through with this whole fiasco. Um, but lately, he's been defending Kyrie and the over excessive mistreatment of Kyrie, which we all, I don't say we all agree, which most black people agree is excessive, and we know why it's being done. They're trying to break the brother. But um, Jason Whitlock has not traditionally been a brother who stands up for the brothers in these types of situations. So I was surprised that he was speaking seemingly in defense of Kyrie. And, he went on today to make a comment on Twitter, whenever it was today, yesterday. But he made a comment on Twitter where he again was coming to the defense of Kyrie. But it was the last part of the statement that I had an issue with. And he said, I'm reading it now. He said, if Kyrie Irving thought he was a woman instead of an Israelite, he would be the toast of the NBA, and all the people dissing him would celebrate him. And I'm going to stop right there. I'll get to the last part. Because that part, all that I read up until where I stopped, that's the absolute truth. If a brother comes out and says, well, hey man, I'm just letting everybody know I'm coming out the closet and this is who I am now, and I'm identifying as a woman, or I'm whatever, then society would be all over that. They would be applauding and, wow, man, that's so brave, you're so courageous, and all that. And there's a reason behind that. Everything in this world has a reason and an agenda to it. So, though he made an actual statement, he was making a comparison to saying how when an individual is speaking truth, this is my interpretation of it. When an individual is speaking and standing on truth, that truth gets condemned. But if somebody decides that they want to um, identify as something and that's not really who you are, then that's celebrated. So it makes me think of a scripture that says evil is made fair seeming. We live in a world where evil has been made fair seeming. In other words, what's bad is made to look good, and what's good is made to look bad. So that's what that reminded me of. And I agreed with that part. Because we see that in society all the time. It's like, man, okay, y'all are celebrating this, huh? Cool. But it was the last part of his comment that threw me. It didn't throw me, but it threw me. So I'll read it again. It said, if Kyrie Irving thought he was a woman instead of an Israelite, he would be the toast of the NBA, and all the people dissing him would celebrate him like he was George Floyd. So, at the end of a statement that most people would say, okay, yeah, that's a pretty accurate analogy. You take the time, a moment to just shoot a left field shot at George Floyd. And it's funny how that narrative has been painted, and it's been painted by mainstream media, that because George Floyd may have had a history, a criminal history, even if George Floyd may have been participating in a small-time petty criminal act at the time of his arrest, then that justifies or warrants him being murdered the way he was murdered by those racist police. So to say Kyrie would have been celebrated like he was George Floyd, first of all, I don't know of anybody who celebrated George Floyd. We didn't celebrate George Floyd. We mourned the loss of George Floyd. We were upset and angry about how we witnessed on film the murder of George Floyd. Nobody was celebrating that. We protested in the streets in hopes that justice would be brought to George Floyd and his family. That's not a celebration. But to get caught up in that narrative of those actions that I just mentioned being a celebration and being like you're upset that this man, attention is being brought to this man because he was murdered, and you're playing right into the same narrative that racist mainstream media plays into. That is where that whole thought process came from. So you start off good, then you lose the people at the end with a random shot at a man who was murdered by the police. So again, it's hard to know who with you. Well, it ain't hard to know. But I think I would assume for some it's hard to know. But for others, it's real easy. It makes no sense to try to prop one brother up and defend one brother, and then on the same paragraph, you shoot another one down. And the one you shoot down is not even alive because he was murdered. So we ain't celebrating the loss of that brother. We mourned the loss of that brother. We lamented the loss of that brother. Might have celebrated a little bit once the verdict came in on the officer Derek Chauvin who killed him, but that wasn't enough. So if anything was going to be celebrated, it would have been that, but that wasn't enough. So we got to stop, man. See, it's similar to the concept of tearing somebody down to build somebody else up. Or while building somebody else up, we tear somebody down. That's counterproductive. Very counterproductive, man. And a lot of people didn't like the back end of that statement, the back end of that tweet. And to see a black man push that same dumb narrative like George Floyd deserved what he got some kind of way. I won't say it's disappointing because I'm only disappointed when I expected more. For some, it might be disappointing, but it is further eye-opening. If the eye was already open, now it's bucked open like that. Gotta read words carefully, man, and gotta watch who we listen to and who we're influenced by. Alright, man, this your big brother K-Rino. Y'all subscribe to the channel. Go subscribe to the Underground Dialogue podcast. That's my new podcast. 2 episodes up. Y'all go do that right now and make sure y'all watch the shows as well. Alright, I'll catch y'all later on. Peace.